Welcome to Modern Goddess. Here we discuss everything mastering your mindset, wellness wisdom, upgrading your relationships so that you can unleash your divine goddess essence and live your authentic best self every single day. I'm your host, Cassie Aurora. So, hi everyone, hope you're well. So much has happened this week, I can't even, it's just insane. So this podcast is about Mercury Retrograde, but a few things that I just want to update you on. Firstly, I did a really cool meditation course at the weekend. It was over at B Yoga, which is like in Sedgley in the West Midlands. It was so nice. It was run by Buddha Bros. Well, actually, it was run by Rafiki Meditation. Anyway, they're doing like vegan events and vegan Christmas events, which is just nice for anyone who's really into like well-being. So I'm really excited. They have an event on the 14th of December at the Lighthouse in Wolverhampton. So if you're kind of in the Midlands area, you should definitely check that out. Like, I've been to a lot of vegan events and they're kind of like, no offense, but they're kind of soulless. And it just feels like, I don't know, there's just no, it doesn't feel like there's a conscious like caring for the community. It's really weird. And like these guys really care about like the planet, and they're really about community and like making everyone feel valued. Like the meditation course, it was like everyone there was important. And I just really want to like spread the message of what they're doing, because I think they're a bit of a breath of fresh air in the community. So check that event out. You can just literally go on Facebook and search in the search bar Buddha Bros Vegan Christmas, and like you'll see it on there. And you know, they're just doing lots of things, so it's really nice just to discover like new pockets in your local community. Kind of where I live, like the nearest city is Birmingham, and you know, like there's literally no community there, like in terms of like a family feel, and I've really struggled to actually find that anywhere near me until I kind of went over more towards like Sedgley way, and it's kind of, that's where it's happening. So if you're around by me, that's worth checking out. Definitely like Yoga Oasis and Wild Green has a really nice community. But obviously it's just a yoga studio, and that's kind of what it's specialising in, whereas B Yoga kind of is branching out and is like a hub for bigger things. So those two places, like, I just think are awesome. So yeah. In other news, doTERRA, it's winter, guys. Everyone is literally coming in for the Reiki treatments with like coughs and colds, and oh, hang on, I'm just going to move my microphone. I want to lie on my belly and do this podcast. I've probably gone really loud now. Yeah, so doTERRA, it's winter, guys. People are coming in with coughs and colds. I say this every year. Like, if you have On Guard, doTERRA On Guard blend, or you have their capsules, you're not going to get ill. The only times I've ever got ill is the times that I didn't use On Guard. The key is with essential oils and On Guard. I mean, I'm not going to put my hands down and say you're not going to get ill. It's very unlikely you will. These oils literally help the body heal themselves. Like, that is what they do. I'm not saying they're a cure. I am not a doctor. I can't treat, diagnose, whatever, blah, 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 legislation. However, I'm going to put it out there, like, doTERRA On Guard capsules are my go-to. They have Melissa, oregano, which is like a potent antibiotic. Melissa is super antiviral, very, very powerful plant. It's a really high value oil. You know, there's On Guard in there, which is shown in clinical studies to inhibit flu virus proteins reproducing, which is just incredible. It also is shown in studies to kill MRSA. It's starting being used widely in hospitals. It's an absolutely incredible oil, and one to just have in your medicine cabinet, that if you can only have one oil in your house, you need this one. If you can only have one thing from doTERRA, get that or the capsules, because I like have it in my house. I diffuse it for when clients come over. If you're actually a light worker or a yogi or a meditation teacher or something like that, having On Guard is a protective blend. So I'm using it around clients just to protect myself. You know, I'm like this week I've been pulling like demons out of people and stuff. So it's like really heavy work. So I use On Guard in that way to protect me and the client, to work with these energies, you know. So seriously, there is some real benefit to these oils, and they're not just nice smells. Anyway, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but you know, essential oils, the legislation on them is not great. doTERRA are a science and heart-based company, so each oil is meticulously tested so that every single plant chemotype is in the oil. So guys, don't just buy stuff from the shops, because like I'm all for spending money where you want, but you're literally wasting it because it would just smell nice, and like you could get something that smells nice and has therapeutic effects. So you guys know I'm super passionate about doTERRA, and it's a huge part of what I offer to my clients. So please, 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 if you're interested, just ask me for a consult or jump on one of our online classes. We have literally an online class every week, 30 minutes, tells you how they work, what they do, Bob's your uncle, then you can get them in your life. And, you know, I've got them for headaches. I've got, my grandpa uses his copaiba for his Parkinson's because he has like a big tremor, and he uses that, and it's like literally his tremor goes. They actually call their essential oil diffuser their stink bomb, which makes me laugh. But yeah, they put lavender in and lemon to lift their mood or calm them down. I have a lot of clients that are using all sorts of things and finding that these are actually a great value, effective and powerful solution. So please just let me know. You can literally send me an email, hello@cassieaurora.com. You can reach out to me on literally any of my platforms. You know, the details are in the show notes, or just my website, cassieaurora.com. So guys, all these tools are accessible to you should you want them, especially as we come through winter. Those coughs, those colds, got On Guard in your purse, in your handbag, and you're sorted. You can even have a little mini diffuser at your work desk if you're surrounded by yucky bugs. Okay, so today I want to talk about Mercury retrograde. I wrote a blog post on this earlier this week. Guys, you're not going to die, your computer won't break, your relationships aren't going to crash to the ground. Mercury retrograde gets a bit of a bad rap, but we're actually in Mercury retrograde like 25% of the year. It happens 3 times a year. Mercury is not slowing down. There's not a little man on Mercury just like putting his brakes on. It's literally because like in the orbit, it appears, because of how the planets are moving, that Mercury is slowing down, but it's not. And the Mercury retrograde period is not all really potent. The times when you feel it the most is when it stations to go retrograde, which means it sort of appears that it's not moving, to then go slower, and then when it stations to go direct, which is when it appears to not move before it catches us up. Or appears to go faster. And Mercury is, in astrology, it's like our mind, it's our thought processes, our communication, how we organise, it's our intellect. That's like a very brief kind of version of it. Mercury ruled people are like Geminis and Virgos. You'll notice with Geminis it's a very different energy. It's a yang air energy, so it's like their mind is constantly moving. It's a curiosity and a constant flow of information. It's sort of that they're curious about everything. Whereas Virgo, it's a very analytical, intellectual, in the body. So it's like in reality, you know, like instead of thinking lots like a Gemini, this is like very basic. Virgo kind of version is like hoovering lots and doing lots of practical things, an overworker. It's a very different type of it's a very grounded Mercury energy, and you know, like, I just want to be upfront and real. you might not even feel Mercury retrograde. However, this one, and this is why I want to talk about it, Mercury retrograde is an opportunity and not a hindrance. I always say, like, nature and seasons and energetic changes are only a hindrance if you're not going to go with them and you're like resisting them. For example, we have in winter this time of sort of people get more down in winter because obviously the light changes. The energy of winter is very different. I mean, it's ruled by, in the depths of winter, Saturn. We have Capricorn and Aquarius season, both ruled by Saturn, which is heavy and dense. People might associate winter with depression, of course. And it is a heavier season, but Saturn is all about hard work, and it's actually, when we come into Saturn season, Saturn asks us to look at our fears, our limitations, faulty foundations in order to create new ones. And so we're going into winter now, and we're not there yet, but I just feel like with seasons, if we resist the season or the energy or the planetary alignment, then yes, we are going to have a difficult time because we're kind of refusing to accept our part in nature. So Scorpio, Mercury is retrograding in Scorpio. So we all hear this, oh, Scorpio. Scorpio is the archetype of transmutation, transformation, death, occult. It's the deep, deep, deep water energy. So deep, emotional, entanglements, deep, profound emotional healing. To me, it's really related to many, many lifetimes. All the things we sort of can't see, the underworld, the archetype of the High Priestess and the Death Tarot card. It's all about letting go. And the highest vibration of Scorpio is understanding where our power is and understanding we actually are safe to stand in our power. But often it can, you've heard that Scorpios, they have control issues, or they're master manipulators, or they need power, or they are obsessive. And this can be true of the archetype of Scorpio that's unhealed. But the truth about Scorpio is, it's like the Scorpio archetype asks us to examine, wherever Scorpio is in our chart, our deep wounds related to where we feel we have no control, to do with abandonment, betrayal, rejection, those childhood kind of psychological traumas, but also where is it in our lives we feel deeply wounded, in the sense that we have a deep fear we don't have power or control. And of course, Scorpio is traditionally associated with the 8th house, which is all of those things of Scorpio, sudden change, debts, tax, other people's money, the occult, esoteric healing, astrology, basically something bigger than ourselves, and something which resides deep within us and yet feels so out of our control. And Scorpio is where our deepest personal power can come from. Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio, and Pluto is the unconscious, what we can't see. And our unconscious is largely formed in the first 7 years of life. And it's formed through our parents, society, and we start to learn rules about where our power is and where our power is not through this process. And then we also learn boundaries, we actually start to learn who we are in the world, but actually it's kind of a paradox because we're learning that through the outside of us rather than the inside, which actually means we're not learning who we are in the world. We're kind of learning how we have to be in order to fit in the world and not be abandoned or rejected, which is kind of a strange concept in itself, but it kind of reminds me of everything Scorpionic. And so Pluto, the modern ruler of Scorpio, it kind of is something in our chart wherever it sits, and everyone has it somewhere, where we have to examine our unconscious beliefs around a specific area, because those particular unconscious beliefs can actually lead to our self-destruction. They can also lead to our biggest power. So we're getting quite in depth here, but Pluto is a really interesting thing in your astrology chart and is one of the things I look at deeply when I do personal readings. But anyway, think about Pluto it can be our unconscious self-destruction, and we really want to use our Pluto to discover where we do have power and actually stand in our power in the world. The irony being that our unconscious beliefs will, through the law of attraction, attract something outside of ourselves that's echoed back to us in our reality, which then affirms our unconscious beliefs and keeps us trapped in that belief process. Pluto and Scorpio ask us, through those experiences outside of ourselves that seemingly appear out of our control, it asks us to actually reflect inwards on the belief system or the actual wounding that this outside circumstance brings, in order for us to transmute and evolve and actually understand that our power is within ourselves and it doesn't lie outside of ourselves. And I'm kind of going to, this is not the full picture, but I'm going to just kind of leave that there for now. And so Mercury is retrograding in Scorpio. Now, I really feel like, because this year has been a big year, if you've heard my other podcast on all the karma to do with Capricorn and Cancer, and this North Node, South Node business, this is a really, really critical time. And this Mercury retrograde is the ending of more cycles. Mercury going retrograde asks us to revisit something in order to create a better system. In this case, it's asking us to revisit our unconscious beliefs and unconscious self-destructive beliefs or limitations or stories we're telling ourselves with regards to loss, abandonment, rejection, betrayal, and those deep emotional woundings. And where is it that we can create deeper emotional boundaries which give us a sense of power and protection, but not control. Power and control are two very different things. We're led in our world to believe they're the same, but they're not. You might say I don't have much power in my society, but I have no control over my society, really. But my actual power lies in how I respond to outside control or outside stimulus. Anyway, so Scorpio, when Mercury is retrograding in Scorpio, we're asked to look at that deep wounding. Where is it in relationships that you perhaps you give lots of kind of energetic emotion outwards in order to secure love back and try and control the other through giving? That's a big question to do with this energy. Where is it that you give too much to try and secure love and avoid abandonment and rejection, and then start to resent the other person, especially when it's not reciprocated? We understand through this process, actually, the resentment and betrayal is not from them. It's really from you, because you have given in order to secure something in return, because you've made an imaginary invisible contract. Or where is it that you have an unconscious fear in all your relationships that you will be left alone? And how does this stop you from playing full out in relationships? Where is it that you feel like you're not enough on your own? These are all the big questions that Mercury retrograde in Scorpio brings us. Where is it that emotionally we are actually not listening to our needs? Scorpio is hugely important when it comes to emotional boundaries. And really often we violate our own emotional boundaries. How often is it that, there is no way to get rid of an emotional need. You have to meet it. You have one choice: to meet it. And at the end of the day, we go through life saying, well, they didn't meet my emotional needs, etc., etc. And the higher evolvement of this is to understand that if we don't meet our own emotional needs, and we don't even acknowledge them. For example, if we have a need that, I need my partner to give me hugs, or I need to make sure that I say no more to my boss. That's a better example. And yet you don't do it. Or you think, God, I need this, but it's a really stupid need and I shouldn't need it. But you do. And so if you violate your own emotional needs by saying they're not valid, or thinking they're silly, or by actually saying yes to your boss when you really mean no, then the betrayal lies within you. And without actually really considering your own needs, really considering them, you're actually undermining your own power of choice. You're hitting your own self-destruct button. You're violating your own needs. You're making things harder for yourself. And we've all done it. It's like the process of understanding our power and our duty towards ourselves, which is a hard process. It comes with deep self-love and self-worth. And so when Mercury comes around retrograding in Scorpio this time, it's really, really asking us, what is your emotional power? Where are your boundaries, your emotional boundaries? Where is it you're holding on to old emotional beliefs about abandonment, betrayal, rejection, that are unconsciously altering your vibrational kind of unconscious language or belief system? That means you will constantly attract in an outside experience which reflects, yes, people abandon and reject you. Where is it we can let go of our emotional stories we've told ourselves based on the wounding of the past and our childhood? So I know this sounds like really heavy information, but Mercury retrograding in Scorpio can be. Now, what's really interesting, we had the new moon in Scorpio earlier this week, and it was opposing Uranus. So at 4 degrees was the new moon in Scorpio, and Uranus is in Taurus at 4 degrees. Uranus in Taurus, I've talked a lot about this on my blog post, but this is like a really basic version. Uranus in Taurus is asking us to bring a higher sense of truth and a new way of a new belief system around what we actually value about ourselves. What do we actually need in order to be stable and nurtured? Is it a rat race mentality job, or is it actually we need less? What is it we actually need to feel stable? What is our internal self-worth and value system, which then translates into who we are in the outside world based on our internal values. And of course, new moon in Scorpio is bringing to light all of the themes I just talked about with Scorpio. Uranus in Taurus is literally cutting right to the core. Uranus is like putting your hand in a plug socket. And this opposition was like a electrical bolt of lightning straight into what is it I believe about my emotional boundaries, my sense of power, emotional power. What is it that I'm holding on to from the past that doesn't serve me? And how is that literally creating my value system and my belief system and my self-worth? And what does that mean for me? And of course, bear in mind, guys, like everyone has this somewhere else in their chart. For me, it's happening in the 12th and 6th house. So 12th house being my unconscious self-destructive tendencies and beliefs that are based in abandonment and betrayal from the past. And 6th house being the house of service. So how can I really use my experiences to serve my community and to become a greater healer and give more and help other people find stability in their lives through their daily habits, for example. So see how the archetypes are the same, but the area of life it plays out for you might be a bit different. Now, as we come, this Mercury retrograde energy is forming a water trine. This is a really special energy, and there are no coincidences in astrology. So in the grand scheme of all these big cycles we have, remember, astrology is not just one thing. We are still being asked to return to our soul's core functions. So it's trining the North Node in Cancer, Cancer being safety, security, emotional safety, and how do we really go around creating a new sense of safety and new emotional boundaries that keep us safe and nurtured. And that gives us a deeper sense of power, a sense of deep emotional power and a sense of deep emotional boundaries, enabling us to feel safe in a certain area of our life and nurtured, or help others to feel safe and nurtured. And it's also trining Neptune in Pisces. So this is like a higher octave of love, the connection to the divine. And these three energies together is really helping us transmute and ascend very much in like a sense of spiritual awakening. And it really depends which areas of life this is playing out, because some people might suddenly in Mercury retrograde have a connection with a past lover or a past friend or an old belief system. Or an old illness or something, which asks them to develop a further, deeper sense of emotional power. Remembering that our power is in stillness and introspection, often a lot more than in action and reaction. And some people are meeting karmic soulmates, or old karmic relationships will come to a close now, because if you realize that these things in your life really aren't serving a higher purpose, the beliefs you're holding on to, the relationships you're holding on to, jobs you're holding on to out of fear and out of nothing else but fear, this Capricorn energy, but you're holding on to these when actually they don't serve you, and holding on to them is an emotional violation of your core needs. But you're holding on to them because you don't know what's the other side. Yeah, the 8th house, Scorpio, being the unknown emotional territory. Can we let go of what we know in order to take a leap into everything we don't know? And, if suddenly your soulmate arrives, I know I've had a few people, I've had some really strange connections happen, like in the last 2 weeks. I know that definitely friends of mine have had the same. And where is it that people come into our lives as a vibrational match? And can we leap into that knowing that this will not end the same way as the past? Can we really let go of those emotional things that stop us really having the love that we want, or the job, the career? And like, I know for me, the minute I let go of something a few weeks ago, which was an energetic hole in my life, it was like the one thing that was completely out of alignment, where I literally compromised myself over and over and over again. And it just felt like pain, because I was constantly violating my needs in order to really try and secure something. And it just, I mean, it had been ending for months, but I knew I didn't want to fully let go. But the minute I let go of that, suddenly the universe went, thank you, and it lifted me up. And the thing is, life is a constant process of letting go and surrendering and letting go and surrendering. Scorpio archetype really asks us to do that. And so I guess the biggest thing we can take from this is that Mercury retrograde is about more, especially this one, than just technology breaking and planes being delayed and blah, blah, blah. It's really about revisiting an existing project in order to then have a better system going ahead, a clearer channel going ahead. So I don't really know what I said in the last half an hour or however long it's been. But guys, you know, everyone's astrology is different. Everyone is on a completely different, unique path. And so I just want you to know that there's not a right or a wrong way really how to do Mercury retrograde. However, if you're feeling that you need to slow down, you need to follow that calling, because this is all about learning to listen to your emotional needs. So yeah, if you feel like you want to book in a private reading with me, you know, I do tarot, Reiki and astrology. I also do coaching, but really my astrology and my tarot are like, sorry, my astrology and my Reiki and my two kind of, this is why I'm in like my magnificence. So you can absolutely book those in with me. You have literally one day left to get 20% off. So you need to book it now if you want to. You can go to my website, cassieaurora.com, click on services in the menu section, and add code SPOOKS20 in capital letters at checkout. And then you can get your reading booked in with me. And these can be done like live over the phone, or like you can just do them on Skype, or not over the phone, what I'm on about, live on Skype or in person. And then you can do, you can have them done like pre-recorded, which is a bit cheaper, because it means I don't have to set out like specific time in the diary, which it's a bit harder for me to do that. So that kind of costs a bit more. And Reiki can be done distance or in person. Distance is super powerful. Like there's no difference, honestly. The only difference is like my house is nice and my room is chill, and you can give me a hug when you come round. So yeah. In other news, the one other thing I want to talk about before I go is that I am going to be doing Reiki training next year, so that if you are interested in doing your Reiki level 1 or 2, then you can learn to heal yourself and your loved ones. Reiki 2 is where you're able to charge for treatments and able to work out in the public. So please, if you are interested, just drop me an email and you can go on the wait list. I already have loads of people wanting to train with me, but that's awesome, because the more people that are healing themselves, the more powerful we can be, the more we can enjoy a happier and lovelier life. So I hope you have a wonderful week, guys. Please share this podcast. Let me know what you think. Let me know how this Mercury retrograde is affecting you. I know for a lot of people it's coming like it's hit them. It's going to be strong, literally like Wednesday the 30th, tomorrow and Halloween when it goes, retrograde officially. Don't you guys worry. Just, you know what, as they would say in Frozen, let it go. See you soon.